Why are the Georgia Bulldogs so dominant on the recruiting trail? That's what we're talking about in today's video. There's lots of reasons, right? There's a lot of really big reasons why Georgia consistently signs a top 3 and sometimes a number 1 recruiting class, right? It starts with Kirby Smart, one of the best coaches really of all time. If the guy decided he wanted to quit tomorrow, he'd be a college football Hall of Famer. He's an ace recruiter. But this goes all the way to his staff. And I was able to speak with Glenn Schumann during the Sugar Bowl media days at the end of last season. And I asked him point blank, I said, you're an ace recruiter. You're one of the best recruiters in college football. How do you do it, right? What makes it so easy for you to go out and get your top guys every single year? And he said it was pretty simple. He said, number 1, it's the power of the G, right? It's easy to walk into a home when you have that red G on your polo or on your hat, or when you're hosting big time prospects and their families on campus, and that G is everywhere. And you've got the resources, the facilities, the stadium, the prestige, the history, the trophies. I mean, they've got a full trophy case, right? Other programs would kill to have the trophy case that Georgia does. So he said, I can only do so much. I do what I do, but it's a lot easier with that red G in recruiting for this program. But he also said that it has to do with relationships. And when you really dig into it, a lot of the Georgia staff members have been there a long time. Glenn Schumann has been at Georgia since 2016, right? If you want to say Kirby Smart was Nick Saban's right-hand man, Glenn Schumann is Kirby Smart's right-hand man. He was there at Alabama as a grad assistant, and Kirby knew that he was one of the smartest guys in the program. Brought him with him to Georgia. He's been coaching inside linebackers ever since. Now he's the defensive coordinator. But what I'm trying to say is that he has developed relationships with these high school coaches, not only in Georgia, but across the country. And that's how he's able to go to basically Memphis to get Nakobe Dean. That's why he goes to Texas to get Justin Williams. That's why he goes to Maryland, who at the time, getting Jamon Dumas-Johnson was a big deal. He got Monty Rice out of Alabama, but he also does a great job with the in-state guys, right? Quay Walker was a 5-star. He went to North Carolina to get Jalen Walker. He went to South Carolina to get Channing Tindall. Staying at one place makes that easier. And when you're going across the South and across the country and they see a coach walk in with that red G, it means something, right? Kids in California are, they want to be at Athens, right? There's a California to Georgia movement going on right now. Kids in Texas, in Houston, love the idea for playing for Georgia. They went and got a quarterback from Connecticut, right? They're going to South Florida to get an elite defensive lineman. The power of the G is so much. And Glenn Schumann's like, it makes my job easier. It's all about relationships and people knowing you as the Georgia coach, and you've been doing it for almost a decade. But it's the power of the G that does it too. Trey Scott has been at Georgia since February 10th, 2017. It's the longevity, right? You're at the same place. It's easy to build a resume at a powerhouse like Georgia. And when your resume gets better and better, it's easier to go out and get the guys that you want. Trey Scott just completely changed that room. Before he got there, Georgia was the place where defensive linemen go to not get drafted, right? They were having some real problems developing, producing elite defensive linemen who go off into the NFL. Trey Scott comes, and it's every year he's developing guys and putting them in the first round, and they're doing big things to the NFL level. Now it's easier for him to recruit when he's got that resume, and he said, hey, I've been at Georgia since 2017, right? I've been here. You don't have to worry about me leaving. For now, he's not going to be at Georgia forever, but it's the longevity that helps these guys on the recruiting show. Todd Hartley was named Georgia's tight ends coach on January 14, 2019, right? So this is year 6 basically for here, but year 7 almost basically. He was added the assistant head coaching responsibilities in 2023. You think of Georgia tight ends, you think of Todd Hartley. Not only if you're a Georgia fan, but if you're a high school coach, if you're a 5-star tight end from wherever, right? If you're in the state, not in the state, doesn't matter. Georgia is tied in you because of Todd Hartley, and he's a guy who, again, like Glenn Schumann, like Trey Scott, he's been around, right? He's been around the program. He is Georgia. He was coaching at Georgia with Mark Richt. Went to Miami, did very well there. Kirby Smart says, you're a Georgia guy. I'm bringing you back. He's been there ever since, and he has been a major, major part of this staff, this program, and what he does on the recruiting trail is up there with some of the best, not only on Georgia's coaching staff, but across the country. Travaris Robinson, he's only been at Georgia for a year and a half, but that guy has 17 years of college coaching. He was at Florida. He was at South Carolina. He was at Miami. Auburn, Alabama, now at Georgia. That guy has been everywhere. He is very well respected on the recruiting trail, and that helps, right? He may have a different logo occasionally on his polo when he goes to these high schools and, just does his recruiting, but people know him, right? He's been around. He knows what to do. He knows what to say. He's got a great resume himself, and he's done a great job at Georgia. Mike Bobo, say what you want about Mike Bobo. He's still getting 5-star quarterbacks, right? A lot of y'all said it's impossible. Nobody wants to go play for Mike Bobo anymore. But he's going into the living room and he's talking with Jared Curtis and his family saying, hey, Matthew Stafford got better under me. Aaron Murray got better under me, right? Now, that was a while ago, right? Carson Beck did not get better last year, but there's a lot of reasons for that, right? And that we've talked about that a lot, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about that, why Georgia was not great offensively last year. It wasn't all because of Mike Bobo. The guy does know what he's doing, and he does know how to develop quarterbacks. And Jared Curtis and his family said, yes, we want to jump on board. We want to play for Mike Bobo. No matter what you think of him, there are a lot of high school coaches out there and college coaches and quarterbacks and their families who think highly of Mike Bobo. Jared Curtis is one of them. James Coley, right? Again, say what you want about James Coley. He's been around. He's been around a long time. He was at Georgia. He was their wide receivers coach 2016, 2017, co-offensive coordinator in 2018, full offensive coordinator 2019, goes to Texas A&M for a few years, does a great job there, recruits South Florida as well as any coach in college football. He can go to South Georgia. He knows everyone down there, because he's been doing it a while, right? He's got that longevity. He's got that experience. He's got those relationships. And that's what Glenn Schumann said. It's all about relationships, but it's easy to make relationships with high school coaches and those prospects and their families with that G, right? And you can say, hey, come here, you can win a trophy. You can get developed. You're going to go off and play in the NFL, right? As a staff, we know what you're doing. You are going to get better as a football player and as a man when you play at Georgia. Now, I know they've had some off-the-field concerns, not really this offseason, but in the past. I get all that, but just strictly football, these guys come to Georgia, and even if they transfer out better football players than they did when they got to Georgia, right? So, and players know that, and these families know that. And I know NIL is still a big deal. A lot of kids are looking at money first, but a lot of them aren't. And they're looking at development. And it makes it easy for these coaches to develop relationships with these kids when they've known the coaches for so long. And they've been in and out of these high school doors and facilities year after year after year, right? So it's easy to recruit when you know all the coaches of the players you're trying to recruit, right? And that's basically what Glenn Schumann said. They've got some young guys too. Coach Drebe, the outside linebackers coach, he's actually been at Georgia since 2022. Year 3, he's an ace recruiter, or basically become one. He did a great job in the 25 cycle, right? Signed the number 1 edge defender in the country. Isaiah Gibson went up to New Jersey and got a guy he absolutely loved. Stayed in the Atlanta area and got Chase Linton. He got 3 dogs at outside linebacker. That guy knows what he's doing. He was hired for a reason. Dante Williams, the cornerbacks coach they got from USC. He's got West Coast ties. He's done a great job in this cycle. Very well-respected coach, great recruiter. He went to Houston and got Chase Cowlickett. He went up to the Memphis area, flipped Caden Harris, and he went down to South Florida and got Justice Fitzpatrick. So he can recruit all over the country, right? Very well-respected. He's done a great job. And one of the newer coaches, Josh Crawford at running back, the running backs coach, got one of his top targets in Jay Lamar out of Colquitt County. He's a guy who had coached previously at the high school level in Georgia. So he knows what it takes. He knows what it's like to be a high school coach. And he can really, as a young guy, he can connect with other high school coaches, build those relationships, which makes it easier to recruit the players, right? So again, there's a lot of reasons why Georgia does a great job on the recruiting trail. It starts with Kirby Smart. You've got the brand, right? That G means a lot. And you've got coaches who have done a great job year after year developing relationships with these high school coaches, trainers, parents, so on and so on, right? And it's just what they do. And you can go off position by position at Georgia right now and say, that guy's been around a long, long time. We haven't talked about Stacey Searles. I know he's not really a fan favorite right now. Big reason why is because the offensive line was banged up last year, but let's not let context get in the way. They did take a step back, but you have to look at the injuries. I expect his group to be a lot better, but he's well respected. He's been doing this a long, long time, and the results need to get better. There's no doubt about it, but that will happen if he has a healthy group playing for him, right? But high school coaches respective. I've seen Stacey Searles on the recruiting trail. The guy knows what he's doing. He is a great recruiter, and he's brought in a lot of really, really good talent over the last several years. They just have to keep developing and learning, and I think they'll do that. But yeah, this staff is full of ace recruiters. That's another reason why Georgia might push for the #1 class in the country. Yes, Kirby Smart is a closer, right? The guy knows what he's doing, but he's got a full staff that also know how to recruit, and they do it at an elite level as well. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. I'll see you over on Dawg Post.